Hello, everybody. It is a wonderful, wonderful time to get back into SPS series number 3. Oh my god, I cannot believe it's very 3 series of SPCS. Has been a fantastic last couple of weeks. Only now getting into week 3, into our next matchup, we have Tigris, we have Goblin Barrel coming up on deck here for this one. First of all, they're undefeated so far, 2-0 each of these teams. So somebody's gonna have a little etch in that record, aren't they, Mr. Box?
Yeah, both teams 2-0. Tigris coming out with 2 3-0s in weeks 1 and 2. Goblin Barrel 2 3-1s. So both the teams very strong. No map 5s for either of them. Should be a really close match between the two teams here today.
100%, and we can actually look even further into the standings for the general advanced series, right? So let's get into the thick of it all. I mean, there's what, 30-ish teams here, 29 teams in total, all duking it out. And you can kind of see Tigris is tied up with some people, with teams like Billings Boomers, like Shoot the Flag, Eternal Rift as well, and it's just it goes down by the wayside. Goblin Bear at the very latter and technically 7th seed, but as you and I both know very well, it's almost one and the same, especially this early on in the season. So with that being said, once again, these guys are already looking extremely fantastic, already into week 3. And speaking of maps, speaking of all that jazz, we're starting things off on control as always, and it's gonna be Ilios that will be starting things off for our first series, or our first map of the series. And of course, we just had a patch, so things can always change up, things can always kind of be moved around, and we're going to talk about some of our rosters. Who are we going to be seeing here, Mr. Box, as we now roll into our first team, that being Tigris. Oh, actually, both of them at the same time, excuse me. Tigris and Goblin Barrel, take it away.
Yeah, both of these very large rosters here, advanced tier, tend to having that large roster size. Tigris here got Akioto, Mr. Kirby, Spicy Pug, Hunter, Gooba, Harbor, Risper, Oxytocin, and Zephy. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, if I can count correctly. A lot of players.
Yeah, don't ask me. I didn't get I went to art school. We don't do numbers around these parts. Like, we avoided that. But you're right. The player pool here is massive for both these teams, and that only kind of assists in having as much flexibility with compositions, as much flexibility in play styles as possible as well, right? Especially once again with the new patch coming out. I'm sure we've seen a lot of different compositions as we do roll into, getting through the growing pains of some very funny buffs, like Roadhog, for example, Torbjorn as well, Brigida getting a bit of buff as well, and some nerfs to popular heroes like Lucio, for example, having a little bit less of damage output. So with that being said, I'm still excited to see kind of how the old meta will start to shift into something new, with Genji still being relatively strong, with people now sticking to Sojourn still even more so, but then you're moving around the tank roster a lot here. More hazards are being shown, a lot more pocket Roadhogs, which Mr. Box, I see a Roadhog. It's gonna be Ilios. Like, I'm looking for it. I can't lie.
Yeah, Ilios is one of those maps where I think Roadhog could come out. It's actually quite a decent ball map in my opinion, and Roadhog seems to be, from what we've seen in OWCS Korea, if anyone's been tapping into that, Roadhog seems to be the go-to ball counter. So maybe that's in the cards for us today as we look at the first ban from Tigris here, banning Reaper first. Interesting note on the bans, I looked through the previous bans. The only hero that Tigris has banned in both of their games was Sigma. So it's an interesting fun fact so far at week 3 for Tigris here, as we wait to see what the response ban for Goblin Barrel is going to be.
I mean, I do love the Reaper ban because, again, in the same vein, Reaper has really started taking a shine once again in that DPS roster, and kind of coupled with Azaria, yeah, he becomes kind of a menace. And on that same note, we're going to actually be banning out Winston, a little bit more of a targeted ban in terms of sub-maps. I mean, very strong is Winston on Lighthouse, for example, even well to an extent. He can definitely be played there. So by mitigating the Winston, you're kind of forcing more of a hazard playstyle, a ball playstyle, or Diva as well. 3 very strong dive heroes, or if we want to go more brawly, a lot of people have been really gearing towards the Orisa or the Zarya in the same vein. So with these two bans coming to fruition, I don't really think that they're bad at all. I do think that there is a lot of really good reasoning and merit into why we're banning, you know, Winston and Reaper.
Yeah, I think it's quite prudent here from Goblin Barrel to see that Reaper ban and go, okay, they're wanting to play Winston. Reaper's typically kind of a soft counter, I guess you could say, to Winston. So prudent pick there on that ban. We'll see how it ends up playing out, what tanks will be played. You mentioned Hazard there. I think that's something, if Tigris is looking to play some of this dive style, Hazard's the next up tank there, right? So it's interesting to see, and you've kind of highlighted it already. Ilios is very diverse map between all the different sub points, so it's very possible we see dive on one of the sub points and then brawl on the rest. So I'm very, very excited for this first map. Both of these teams should give us an amazing match here. Hopefully a 3-2 like that first match in rookie tier this week.
That's what I'm saying, and they're both 2-0, and you mentioned it, you know, they're both very much like, they're speeding through their matches, 3-0, 3-1s, barely ever going to a map 5 if they can avoid it. And so with that kind of going into that idea in mind, I do expect this to go the distance, at least map 4, if not map 5, more often than not, especially with these teams that are, again, they're undefeated so far as we approach week 3 for the advanced division. Once again, Ilios, we're walking into the beautiful land, beautiful islands of Greece. Oh my god, I miss Greece so much. And it depends on what submap we get as well, right? If we go for ruins, okay, you can kind of play the brawl here, a little bit of a dive. I think you mentioned the best is that Ilios is so flexible with what you can play. Yeah, you can play dive in a lot of these submaps. You can play brawl in a lot of these submaps. Poke a little bit less popular, unfortunately. So no, goodbye Sigma. You're not going to be seen here as often. But as we load into the pool, into the wayside of the sea breeze, it's going to be Lighthouse coming at us. And you already see what we got cooking. We have the Roadhog and the Hazard on deck.
Moira Reaper is an interesting backline pick for this Roadhog, but I think and maybe it could work. You know, there's no Ana in play, or at least they don't know there's an Ana in play yet. So now we go swaps, baited by the spawn room. But no, I think key concept with this Roadhog, right, is whenever that hook cooldown is available, it is a 20-meter circle that you cannot walk into. So maybe that will come into effect later, but Tigris opting for the ball and the first start here with Cassidy Tracer. Interesting DPS line. Maybe something a little bit more longer range might be helpful, but Farah is on Goblin Barrel's side, so that Cassidy looking like a good pick right now.
100%. We also see a little bit of a difference in the backline as well. The Lucer versus the Wuyong between Rips and Cobalt. With that being said, though, it is going to be Goblin Barrel at least trying to stabilize the objective here. Mr. Kirby does does get forced out by the Pharah, so thankfully again this keeps Goblin Barrel on the objective with relative ease. Recall forced out early, but I mean being forced out, screw the recall. There's no Krabby on the field here, or Crabbery on the field, coming in with the elimination coming in from Akiyoto. And now with that being said, the rest of the team are we going down to this absolute damage output factor from the Cassidy. And with that being said, 15% given to Goblin Barrel, but they're down forces, they're down people, and they just need to at least stall to get at least a quarter of the objective in their favor before there's an inevitable swap here. There goes Maj, there goes everyone else retreating back to safety. There is one person hanging around, that being Admiral, but eventually they also go down.
Yeah, it's interesting that Tracer was first pick here. Obviously, Cassidy kind of good into the Tracer pick with that kind of stun grenade, flash grenade. You see early pick from Oxytocin, trading back another support. It's go time here for Tigris with the dive from that ball, looking to try and make something happen, but it's not that much. It's still going to be a very slow kind of comp here from Tigris. They're going to pick their moments when they see someone split open. It's not going to be a very all-out engage.
100%. And the scary part of it all, Box, is that we already have Deadeye, right? And you see how, you know, Maj really trying to go on to dive onto his Cassidy, arguably one of the best dive targets to go towards in these kind of compositions. But Akiyoto able to survive with the Fan the Hammer, with the Hinder, with the roll. And then there goes the rest of the team just kind of falling by the wayside. Mr. Kirby going for a quick little, I'm going to call it a reset. I'm going to call it a reset, is I'm going to call it from Mr. Kirby.
Yeah, Goblin Barrel just finding it really difficult to move through space without taking heavy poke from that ball and tracer combo, chunking down targets before they can really move. High Noon out, just zoning here, giving some time maybe. See two positioned on the right side of that point. See if any damage can get laid down. Big damage onto Hazard, gets healed up a little bit, but it's already 70% here. We're getting close to the last fight.
We sure are, but Cobalt finds the reverse onto Pug, who was trying to go for the Wuyang anyway. Also, we see the very selfish but very effective Tidal Blast committed from the Wuyang here, which does help in stunning out the rest of the opposition. Beautifully done. We did unfortunately commit the continued rush from Tigris, and we're also going to be committing Rips' sound barrier at the exact same time. Minefields were on the field here, funnily enough, and Kirby will not be there to see any of it come to fruition, as we do get booped off of the coastline, and we flip it right under the 95 percentile. So it's not a bad spot for Goblin Barrel with 4 ults.
It's the perfect opportunity for them to now set up a kind of, I don't know how you want to say it, but a kind of cascade of fight wins here with 4 ultimates. Akio gets an early pick though. Maybe the ult economy just doesn't matter anymore. Tigers getting 2 picks here, traded 1 back by Maj, but still advantage for Tigers.
It sure is. I mean, losing out on, you trade out Rips for it. There's a downpour coming through. Suzu comes in at the same time from Pug. Doesn't really displace or dismantle the effect of the downpour, but at least keeps Akio alive long enough to find the reversal onto Maj in the Maj in the meantime. Barrage gets used, and we actually roll into it. Good Suzu coming in from Starry Knights, of course, to keep her so far alive during the barrage, and then find the reversal onto Akioto. And this is gonna... It was gonna allow maybe Goblin to get the win here, but they're gonna keep the point now, flipping back in favor for themselves after the post bomb onto Mr. Kirby.
Yeah, that point flip is actually really big here for Tigris. It gives them another opportunity despite kind of losing that fight. And they're going to be up a player for a little bit here. See if they can find something, maybe an opening with that high noon spacing, or just a pick from the ball, putting mines on the point or something. It's going to be a difficult fight here for Goblin Barrel.
Comes to Deadeye. Doesn't find Maj, unfortunately, but we are committing the minefield on the objective instead, and we are now in overtime fight, and we get booped right off of the coastline. What a fantastic utilization of the Pharah here to mitigate really your biggest counter, that being the Cassidy. Now you can be so really careful because these minefields are on for now 16 seconds instead of 20, so now they're gone and dusted, giving another big opener here for Tigris, for Pug to take care of the mirror match of the Tracer. Here comes a Tidal Blast onto the Kiriko. Sorry Knight walking towards the ball, finding the stun, eliminating Pug, eliminating Mr. Kirby with the help of Admiral. Just like that, the stall comes in from Tigris, but it's fruitless here.
Wow, I think it's really strong play from the Pharah here. Like when they were able to get the flip, the Pharah just came into a new element and was doing a lot of work and making it so difficult for that Cassidy to walk up, making it so difficult for that Curie to kind of be on an angle by themselves like they want to be in this kind of ball comp, pseudo dive, pseudo poke style that Tigris is playing. So big props to Admiral, but big props to the whole team for Goblin Barrel and pulling that back on the last night.
Oh, 100%. And Admiral was just kind of playing that back area very well where the mini pack is, or the mega pack is. Just really making sure no one can look at them any way, shape, or form without immediately going back into cover. So with that being said, Goblin Barrel, they bring it back, but now we're on Ruins. We see some swaps here. We see the Somber coming out from Admiral. How can you feel about this swap, knowing that it's maybe can be Mr. Kirby's biggest counter?
I mean, the Somber swap into ball, if you're a very comfortable ball player, you know kind of how to work around the Sombra. That's something you see all the time. So if Mr. Kirby is really them on ball, it shouldn't really be too big of an issue.
Absolutely. Again, it's kind of seeing the slow-paced gameplay once again. A little bit of a detection from the Tracer. It does kind of scare out Admiral from the positioning, but here comes a hack onto Mr. Kirby and the Virus, and you can see how quickly that health pool starts to decline, forcing the adaptive shields already to be expended from the ball player. Pug also going down very low, followed up on by Crabbery, and boom, you're down your Tracer, your Tigris. Now Goblin Barrel looking very, very prim and proper to continue these annihilations and these assaults onto the rest of the side of Tigris. Boom, we lose Akioto. We do get the pile driver onto Admiral, funnily enough, but the tracking, the follow-up from Crabbery must be commended. Pugs is back, but then immediately gone down once again. It's just poor old Mr. Kirby trying to stall the quarter of the percentage that has already been given in favor of Tigris.
Yeah, the Tracer Somber duo cleaning up after the ball has to vacate by taking so much damage from that hack. Tracer able to clean up on that left lane coast and find 2 picks. Really great play from the Tracer, and it looks like Krabby is winning this Tracer 1v1 matchup so far here. Ults on the table here for Starry Knight. is going to be popped right away here, trying to look for an early pick.
Mr. Kirby finds that he's devious, kind of rolling onto Cobalt, onto the minefield, and Admiral, I'm gonna say, goes to a reset, knowing that if I was maybe lost there, and there's a very quick flip in favor of Tigris off of just the minefield.
Yeah, strong play for Tigris with that fight. Don't expect to win that, but then again, using those mines kind of block off the whole Kiriko ultimate. It's quite a nice decision there. Really able to control a lot of space, as we see. Look, oh, wow, big pick from Akioto. That's gonna be a big drain in the timer here for Goblin Barrel. They're not gonna have a ton of time to work with after this. And they got a high noon for spacing as well. Double support ultimates coming up. Everything is looking like Tigris' favor right now.
Oh, 100%. They can definitely hold this. You can see Pug is kind of, not Pug, Crabbery is already kind of waiting in the wings, waiting to be released to the Krakens, right? Hellcat doesn't get hacked out, so Pug doesn't have the opportunity to utilize it. But Akitoxin comes in with the City Rush right down the field, but it's hit the Tidal Blast. I mean, there's a flying hazard coming my way. Rip somehow, someway is alive. In the meantime, there is going to be the Deadeye coming in from Akioto, which finds Starry Night in the meantime. And thankfully, Rips had the premonition to use the Sound Barrier in response to that downpour coming through from Maj. We do lose on Admiral, who does have EMP online. Recall force out early from Crabbery, and so the pressure is definitely on for the side of Goblin Bear as they are struggling to find their reversal. I think EMP just get used and completely shut down by Akioto, who's completely locked in with a 4K under the belt. Oh my gosh, that was a complete difference between round 1 and round 2 from Tigris.
Yeah, really strong play from Akioto at the end of that sub map there. Just doing all the work, is able to kind of deal with the people that are kind of capturing onto the point. As you saw, we were on deck with the Lucio there for a lot in that last fight, getting chased around by that hazard, gets kited into the LOS of that Cassie and just shot, finding all the value here on that map. And we'll see if the ball gets played again. I don't think this is probably the worst out of the 3 for ball here. On this Ilios, so it's looking like we're going to see Tigris play a Diva instead here, which is maybe a little bit more slow tempo than the ball, maybe a little more reactive. We'll see how Tigris decides to take this matchup, as Goblin Barrel are back on the Pharah.
Yeah, for sure. I do also think that the Diva will give a lot more trouble to Admiral more often than not, especially against, previously against the ball, now into a Diva. With that being said, Cage is being taken up by both of the teams here. Tracer and everyone already going off. This skin goes crazy from Pug, by the way. Love it. Either way, we're forcing out the Goblin Bear out of the cage and really giving it back to the side of Tigris. Susan already used very early on from Tigris, and there goes Admiral, taken down by Pug of all people. Now the follow-up onto Starry Night. She goes down for the count, and again, it is just the Pug show. I feel like Pug just needs to be more scouted out and more just kind of kept in check, because when you're able to kind of walk around as Tracer, this is what happens.
Yeah, Admiral just swapping right away off that Pharah onto Echo. Maybe a little bit more survivable, maybe having better chances in the duel with that Tracer. Tracer really an underrated Pharah counter. You can really kind of chase down the Pharah when they're falling out of the sky and get the pick off pretty easily, which is, I think, is what we saw in that last fight, and that just continues to collapse in the favor of Tigris as Akioto finds another pick here. Amazing play from this Cassidy.
Absolutely. I mean, the Tracer to Cassie, you already know it's already a difficult matchup for her. In the meantime, and then you have a Hinder Nade, and you get Headshot. Then you have the new Piercing perk. You have the new damage, the new Cassie perk in general that do so much damage. It makes complete sense why you can kind of see Crabbery struggling a tiny bit, either in the 1v1 against Pug, or when you see Akioto coming in for the assist onto Crabbery, once again going down first in arguably just one fight. That's crazy. Half the point already given in favor of Tigris. They're building up the Diva Bomb. They already have their DPS ultimates. They have at least 1 of 2 support ultimates in the meantime, and they're gonna rip it right here, right now, right in the main way, allowing the side of Tigris to continue to push in really into enemy territory. Animal tries to go to the Echo, but I feel like it's not gonna be really seeing too much of life or any sort of value, because we see the bomb actually coming aggressively onto Maj, and there goes Admiral taken down by the Deadeye damage into the headshot.
Yeah, double support ultimates coming up for Goblin Barrel Hill. They're going to have everything minus that Echo ultimate. So the fight, if they plan their ultimates correctly here, they plan the kind of layer cake of ultimates correctly, they should get the fight win, but they'll be staring down the barrel of needing to be perfect from here on out. As we see Pug trying to just get a pick onto that Kirigo, forces the TP early, and the Hazard ultimate comes down and locks down a few. It's going trades both ways here. Oh, it's a C9. Oh my god. Oh,
I think a lot more happened than just a C9. I'm not gonna hold you. I think I watched Crabry accidentally die in his own pulse bomb, and then I think everything kind of just fell apart from there.
yeah, there was yeah, we'll leave it at that. Picks just happened really fast. That's a really big EMP cancel, actually. Great accuracy there from Akioto on the Cassidy. Amazing play so far. I feel like the main difference between these two teams so far is just Tigers feel way more comfortable on what they were playing, in terms of, even though they weren't playing super stacked and coordinated with each other, they were comfortable enough to just find ways to live on their own, and then because people were chasing them, that creates opportunities for other people on the team to say, oh, that player that's chasing my teammate is out of position, let's go collapse on that. So really good job from Tigris so far on this first map. Some things to clean up for Goblin Barrel as well here, going into the second map.
Oh, for sure. And second map, you know, it's in the favor. I think how it works is that Goblin Barrel can either choose a ban map, or they can choose a ban hero first, right? So
Yes.
here's a map pool. First of all, I love that option. I think having it not go towards the losing team to have both map and ban pick first is pretty like nice to have it be a little more even in that sense. So with that being said, here's the map pool. It's honestly, I like it. Atlas is like low-key glitched out right now, so I'm not sure if it's illegal right now. But either way, wherever we go next, whichever map we go next, it's surely it's to help, what's it called, help supplement this Pharah that we've been really seeing be played from Admiral or the Echo. Very much kind of someone who prefers to play some sort of fire character, or maybe an invasive character like Sombra. And at the very least, if you can find a map that can really help give that support to Admiral without having to overly kind of babysit him, I think is what will help these guys a lot more. Because when Admiral really was able to play on Lighthouse and really kind of abuse the natural cover of the main point, that's when you really saw the Goblins really take that shine, really take that round under their belt with little to relative ease.
Yeah, and it's interesting to note that Goblin Barrel, obviously they had those 2-3-1, so they have picked maps before. The two maps they picked were Circuit Royale and Atlas. So if that will maybe be a continuing tendency here, you know, I think it was pretty clear from Tigris banning Sig in their previous matches that maybe they don't like these pokier style maps. So maybe that's something Goblin Barrel can exploit going to something like Circuit Royale, which they've already picked once in this season.
Yeah, for sure. And Circuit Royale, I think, is a pretty... Not only do they pick Circuit Royale, but they also have a pretty good winning record on it so far. 2-0 so far, and we're only week 3. That's a pretty good record, you know, to have on a map like Circuit Royale, which I feel like is such a... It's so polarizing, because you can either get held at first point or we see overtime rounds. Like, there really is no in between when it comes to Circuit Royale. So the fact that they have won it twice makes me kind of feel a little more confident that that might be an option for them, especially being behind already in the series and knowing they're going into a team that likes to play ball, that likes to play diva, for example. And this also comes into the effect of if they want to ban first and kind of leave the map pick selection up to Tigris, what do you want to ban? Do you want to ban out the Cassie early on, or do you want to save and you want to save the ball ban for a little bit later? It's this kind of like mental game of what should we do in order or out of order.
Yeah, that would be an option I'm very curious to see, just giving the map pick to Tigris and taking first hero ban. Tigris hasn't picked the map yet, so there's no precedent to kind of go off of what they might pick. But I think it's probably fair to say maybe they'll pick maybe a more open map. They see all this success with the ball comp first map, so maybe something, I don't know, throwing out. I don't know actually what would be the best for them. Maybe there's some weird. There's a lot of things that Tigers could do with their map picks. I think if after that first map, I think they should probably feel pretty confident to go wherever, but you never know. They could have strong opinions on that.
You know what's a really good consistent thing about both these teams though? Neither of them have picked hybrid. They just don't want to go hybrid. I think that's a nice, like, definite, we can definitely say that we're probably not going to go to a hybrid map for map 2. First of all, kind of insane behavior to go hybrid map 2. It's a very, like, I think it's a very mentally taxing game mode, and I kind of would reserve it for, like, a map 3 or map 4. And with that being said, like, if you want to keep the same momentum of you're in the mentality of playing like a control, I would almost go like a Saravasa. I'm just aware that they try to go Atlas, but sorry guys, there's a big old hole in the map that you really fall through. So it's my bad. I ate a piece of the staircase and it's kind of just like that. So you can't really go to Atlas. I'm sorry. But that does bring my theory to fruition. They might go to a Flashpoint instead.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, the least dive favored one is New Junk City. I think Saravasa can be good for Winston stuff. So maybe Winston no longer banned. Winston comes out as a possibility. So maybe not Saravasa, but New Junk City definitely possible. Circuit Royale. Okay, so they are gonna continue to pick Circuit Royale and Atlas. So I think this probably means Tigris will ban Sig, in which case the next up tank is, I don't know, Hazard. Ramatra got buffed again. Maybe it's Ramatra. It's curious. I think if the ban Sig does come out for Tigris, I think that removes a lot of poke options. Maybe we might see some more kind of front to back brawlier things than just Sig shield plus Widow Hanzo in the back line, or Widow Soj or something.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Ramatra did get like was his armor. He has like 275 instead of 250 armor right now, right? That's a little like that should compensate for the previous armor bug he used to have, and it's like we can't be compensating a bug that was in the game for 4 seasons. But even with his with that adjustment to Ramatra, I still feel like he's just not being played anymore, and y'all were really banking that armor bug for a little too long is what I want to say. But I digress. With that being said though, it might come down with this if there's a Sigma ban, which I think is a pretty consistent thing on Circuit Royale. If you hate yourself and you hate Sigma, and I understand he's very good on that map, but with that being said, we're finally in the ban phase, and we're actually going to be getting Zarya from Tigris, and they are just kind of keeping the theme of we don't want to play with Zarya Reaper, and do I blame them? No.
Wow, I'm a bit surprised actually by this ban. Maybe they've been practicing a Sig comp. Maybe. No, I think, yeah, no, you bring up a good point. Zarya Reaper, good synergy. So maybe they did scouting. Maybe they know Goblin Barrel's really good on a kind of Zarya based brawl composition. And so they're just picking that out piece by piece. As you see, the response ban is Widow, so limited one-shot potential on the board here. I think it's just Hanzo.
Yep.
And basically maybe Freya, you count that as a one-shot, kind of.
Yo, I count Freya as a lot of things. Not all good. Definitely not all good. But you're right, taking out Widowmaker, pretty strong, but I do feel like, you mentioned it earlier, you can still play like a Soldier and a Hanzo instead to kind of supplement that long-range pressure that you can absolutely have without Widowmaker. And Hanzo, yeah, he got a little bit of a nerf, making his Storm arrows now the same size as his regular arrows, which, first of all, I didn't even know that was a thing. And now a lot of things made a lot of sense very quickly Tuesday afternoon. And I was like, oh, that's why I'm getting, okay, you're carried. Okay, got it, don't worry.
Yeah, those arrow size changes happened a long time ago. Long time ago. Shortly after they changed all the hitboxes, was that like season 8 or something?
Oh my God,
finally getting reverted after all this time. Yeah, I personally don't like Circuit Royale. I just hate playing on this map. So I have very strong opinions about hating this map. So I was hoping we didn't. I was hoping we were going to get Alice, but obviously bugs in the game. Circle Royale it is. I would, if we're going to see poke stuff from Goblin Barrel, I would like to see Zen involved. Zen is the only redeeming factor of poke. At me on that, I don't care. So would love to see that Zen.
Oh, I love me a good Zen on. Yeah.
They're calling out Farah in chat.
I'm playing Doomfist. So
he's going over Ruth.
I'm gonna play for a rug shot. I'm tired of these. I'm tired. I love teams that take nothing serious. I've always loved that kind of thing. But I do want to call out a couple of swaps here. So we do see Notken coming in, Cobalt moving from the tank line over to the support line, and we're gonna see the exit of Starry Night, at least for this map for Goblin Barrel. In the meantime, we do see the D.Va the Mei coming in from Tigris on the defense. I do like it. It's something that I have seen a lot more often. But what's interesting is that we're not seeing Iyari with the Baptiste. And something a little more traditional is the Zen and the Baptiste from Tigris. So I like it because I love Zenyatta. I love Baptiste. But I want to see how the Discord is going to be putting pressure, especially onto Admiral, who's now committed to this Pharah.
Both Divas being played here, and there's a difference of DPS plus Sportline. Wow. I'm curious to see how this Iliari Juno backline is gonna work. Juno doesn't have follow-up on her primary fire shots, right?
She does, but it's after like 20 meters. It's like something really far away.
Oh, okay. So maybe it'll be decent poke here. But I think Divas on both sides. Farah probably not gonna have an amazing time, and that may, if Notken is too much in the front line, that may could start being a real influence on Tigris' chances of getting another map win here.
Ooh, Pulsar Torpedoes comes through from Cobalt, forcing out the Ice Form, but Akioto with a beautiful tracking of the primary fire into the rail shot onto Titanic. Here's a DMAC also onto Notken, and the subsequent secondary fire from Pug does connect that beautiful headshot onto the Baby D.Va form. Very quick fight. It kind of started off really slow, and then it kind of just ended like as fast as possible. So big reset here, but they're holding him all the way back on second corner.
Yeah, Akioto sharpshooter. He doesn't need angles. Sit down main. They're in the scope. The man is down. We will continue to see Akioto. We will continue to see Akioto pop up on this Sojourn here. Not just a Cassidy player. As Wall comes out, Discord onto the D.Va, looking to put big pressure onto Goblin Barrel. And the window popped as well. A little bit early. Angle, I think, is a little too deep here. Easy kite here for Goblin Barrel. Get an ultimate out, and they're going to be able to push back. Admiral's got the pick already. It's go time.
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa! I feel like I just skipped like into a future timeline because because the fight was like, oh no, we lose Pug, and then suddenly it was a barrage, and I just saw everyone die from Admiral's Pharah. What a quick barrage! What a quick elimination! What a quick team wipe! Even better, 4.5 minutes to push second. That's fantastic for Goblin Barrel.
Yeah, Tigris has no actual direct way to deal with this D.Va. Unless the not with the D.Va, with the Pharah. Unless the D.Va's gonna just fly up there, there's no real hit scan. Soj has the rail shot, but you gotta charge that first. So there's gonna be significant time where this Pharah can just sit in the sky for free. And force the trance. I don't know about that, Juno Ray. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I think the fight is getting a lot messier than Goblin Barrel were anticipating. I'm not sure why we did proc the Orbital Ray, especially in the face of the Transcendence, which I believe Rips might have the Transcendent Condemnation already online here, which gives Discord to everybody in the range of that Transcendence. So with no Orbital, we have Bomb, great, we have Overclock, but so does Akioto, so does Mr. Kirby. We have the same resources, but one's on a better defensive position, and we're opening these up with the Overclock from not one, but both of these Sojourns, and they're clicking the skybots, clicking heads, clicking the defense matrix, and not really finding any sort of value, but Akioto finds the smallest little bit of the head peeking out, and the bomb hits Oxycontin, and Akioto goes down to Cobalt. What a reversal for Goblin Barrel.
Yeah, they had the kite. They were kiting that those Sojourn ultimates well, and then all of a sudden, lamp forced, and things start happening. Tigris going down once again here, and Pharah has a pretty good position here to just poke out this choke, put down a lot of damage, and they're almost at another barrage as well. This could be dangerous.
And it will be, especially with the window coming out. Yeah, you're gonna kite it for a little bit here, which of course is what Goblin Barrel is doing. Tectonic not quite going down yet, but is getting threatened out a lot by Akioto, who has now found a home once again on the Cassidy. With that being said, everyone's going for a full reset. I see 2, 3, 4 reds go down. Boom, there goes a 5th, and Goblin and Barrel are now back in the spawn room. And that is the end of the fight. Still a really good, healthy 2 minutes to go, so not too shabby.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot easier for Tigris to hold space now with that Cassidy just being able to keep the Pharah in check more directly. And Tectonic is also swapping to that Cassidy as well. Interesting to see how that's going to play out. Maybe it's going to be able to add a little bit more frontline pressure with the Phantom Hammer as we see devious angle for this Blizzard. No E.
Are you serious?
That's one pick, but that's all you need, really.
No, literally, first of all, shout out to my observers for catching that. Hilarious. Yes, there is the transcendence as well on top of that. Finds a D-Mech, and now this dagger will in fact be seen, at least for a little bit longer, and there it is. Finally, we killed not Ken. Surely, there we go. Beautiful. Now we see a swap off of the Cassidy back over to this Sombra, which we saw a little bit earlier on Ilios, but that was from Admiral, not from Tectonic.
Yeah, Tigris has kind of stabilized their defense here. I think a lot of that is due in part to this Discord Orb and the amount of distance that Goblin Barrel has to walk through where they can't take cover to cleanse that. As I say, Admiral somehow got in the back line.
Where did you come from? Like,
Knocking gets a trade in the front line. Knocking gets a trade in the front line. Something can happen here for Goblin Barrel. They have almost Diva Bomb to invest as well. And the D-Mech Diva, that's exactly what they needed.
Oh my god, the bomb coming in on my Cassidy, and there goes Oxy Talk,
and
the squish kill onto Mr. Kirby. Admiral on the Echo now gets a 6 kills from a hiding Akioto, and the fight is basically won. But they're at under a minute, they're at under 45 seconds, so they're only gonna get about, what, 2 minutes here to attack third? That's not a lot of time here, and the stall as well, it's a little bit devastating, but there's the cap. Here's 2 minutes. Here's a force. I believe it was a force remake here for the side of Mr. Kirby, who now does not have a bomb going to the next fight. And this is kind of the bleeding one into another of these engagements. We do see the swap over to Pug back on the Tracer, which had so much value on Ilios, and we're now stalling the card as much as we possibly can with only under a minute and 48 seconds to go.
Yeah, Tectonic on that Sombra, almost 70% to a EMP as well. That Sombra is likely going to be just hard focusing the Diva, making Diva's life incredibly difficult, limiting that defensive matrix usage, going to allow a lot of the poke from the Echo and the Alari and Juno to kind of land through and pressure that backline a little bit more. Akioto still on this Cassidy here can be a big impact as that Alari ultimate hits too. Wow, big poke, finding that lamp and getting the picks after the fact. Goblin Barrel rolling through towards the end of this third point here.
With EMP, with Duplicate online as well. Oxytocin did use the Kitsune Rush, but didn't really get too much, and we're losing so much time. Well, they're losing time for this defense and this attack, so it comes down to the wire here.
Yeah, you have a Transcendence to maybe stabilize here, but you have you have 2 ultimates that you kind of have to Whitlast here. You have to Whitlast that EMP. EMP comes out, and they kill the Zen. No trance available here for this copy Diva. It's going to be a tough stabilize here for Tigris. I think it's going to be a map completion here. Still a little bit of distance to go. Some players still alive for Tigris, but it'll be difficult.
Hold on, we're passing into the Iris. Hold on, because there goes not Ken. There goes Nachara as well. Hold on, Pug is back on this Tracer. We are so back. Even though it looked like all was lost, last 5 seconds, the Transcendence comes in like an angel from the spawn room, and we save the day just now, barely holding it at the third objective. But this does mean you basically need to get all the way to third point for map completion for Tigris.
Yeah, Tigers have their work cut out for them. Third point Circuit Royale is quite a difficult point to attack. So we'll see if they'll have the chops to beat what Goblin Barrel set out, basically getting the full cap. But yeah, I think that Pharah was actually very impactful in the first 2 points. And pretty much those barrages were pretty much the reasons why they capped, I think. So big plays from Admiral on that Pharah here, matching Akioto to some degree, but Akioto just hard locked the cast now. Pharah should not be an issue any longer.
I'm seeing some silliness in this spawn room, so I'm gonna go over to what's actually real, which is coming from the attackers. Orisa coming out. Once again, as you mentioned, the Pharah making a reappearance. The Juno worked out more favorably than I actually anticipated, only because I feel like Juno has kind of... Whoa, we're being sneaky. I feel like Juno, as a character, has really kind of fallen down a tiny bit in the support line. You know, her ult is very expensive. I think it's like 3,300 to charge it up. In comparison, most ultimates are like between 28 and 3,000, you know? So her ultimate doesn't come as fast as like a Kitsune Rush or a Captive Sun or even the Valkyrie. But regardless of the fact that we have Rips actually on Mercy sticking to it, we do see the Winston, we see Genji Tracer. We see Tracer instead. And they're trying to go for a very short hold here for Goblin Barrel, really enforcing this cart, but they're immediately backing out, back to that first into the corner, now going over to the high ground. The Chara's pylon is now depleted from Pug, again sticking onto this Tracer, and now Admiral's being looked at by Akioto, who's also being looked at by this Orisa. They're gonna have a really difficult time walking in, but with Pug finding the Juno in the back somehow, there's a dive from the Winston, from the Tracer, and everyone else from the side of Goblin Barrel. With, you know, losing out on one, they start faltering down like dominoes.
Yeah, I like the Mercy pick here. I think Mercy can actually be quite difficult to remove as a character on this map, just due to all the corners and the ability to just have very strong horizontal movement with the Guardian Angel. So a sneaky pick here. I hope it pays off. I think damage boosted Sojourn, damage boosting Akioto in general, just very sound idea as a strategy. As we see, Pug cleans up on a shot from Akioto onto Admiral, and Winston dives in looking to collapse on more. Lamp forced as well. It's bad days here for Goblin Barrel.
It is. You're losing Alan Cobalt on this Brigida. You also have Naken trying his best just to stall a little bit, but then you still have Mr. Kirby in that backline, arguably almost just kind of by himself, forcing everybody out, forcing some imperative swaps. Reaper coming in from Admiral, Sniper Monkey alongside Akioto, taking care of Nachara as well on this Baptiste. They have Pulse, they have Primal, they have everything going to this next fight.
Yeah, Pug really picking up where Akioto left off, finding solo kills in the backline, leading to long staggers here. I mean, it's gonna be they're gonna have quite a good hold on this door, opting to kind of play back more towards the point, give a little pinch on the backline here for Pug, try and get a pick with this pulse bomb. See Soj using that movement early. Can we get a pick? Ooh, pulse bomb goes wide. Curbs in the backline with that primal though, looking to make some space, and Akioto finds a pick off of that. That's all you need.
We sure do. A reversal, losing out Pug. We take it out by taking out Tectonic at the same time. Window not being the re-engagement tool here. The bubble does mitigate a tiny bit, but now we're forced to re-back up with our Brigida after being pushed out by this Winston. But there we go. Now we're pushing in back. Now we're looking at Akioto, who again is still getting pocket by this Mercy. It stays alive through the engagement, through the Valkyrie form of Rip. Now it goes go down for the count, but the Overclock does come into supplement alongside this continuing rush from Oxytocin. And there it is. Boom. One going down. Is decided Cobalt. Now there's gonna dive on the Diva, but there's a D-Mech as well. And there's no bomb to help get a quick remake. So boom. We have the Overclock coming in from Tectonic. It finds not as much value as Akioto's very own. 3.5 minutes. We're gonna regain a minute and a half when we inevitably do get rid of Admiral. Wait,
yeah.
What happened? Whoa, we're losing people.
The sustain from this Bat Brig is just allowing them to live through these trade fights a little bit easier than the Kiri Mercy, I think is what's happened here. That Bat Brig stays alive, and even though some members fall, that Bat Brig can anchor you down pretty hard. Kiri Mercy, it's a slow healing comp, right? With the Bat Brig, you have a burst of heal from the Pax, and you have a burst of heal from the Bat Shift. Has a little more faster pace healing here. So, we see Curve almost on that Winston Primal again. He was able to make space before manufacture a pick for Akioto. We'll see if it can happen again. Should be another kite here through this early window. Seems to be a trend. Early windows.
I mean, it's great at making space. It's great at clearing out the field, even for the 10 seconds it's up, right? And that's all you need because they're now nearing under the 2.5-minute marker. We're walking in knowing we have the Death Blossom, knowing we have the bomb, which is going to be committed first and foremost after the DMech finds nothing but a remech for not Ken. The lamp is now being expended, has been negated by Mr. Kirby on this part before. I'm now looking over at Tectonic, and there it is. Well, not going to be Tectonic going down, actually going to be Admiral, who, again, had the Blossom in the back pocket, was not able to proc it in time, because Akioto is an absolute menace. Goes to the Deadeye just for funsies. There's a headshot, and a double headshot, and an entire 5K entirely by Akioto, with some pocketing from Rips, of course.
I mean, Akioto makes it look effortless, really. You just walk up, all the space is made for you, the picks fall into your space, and you just click on Head's Adventure. Is a little bit too far there from Mr. Kirby. Gonna force maybe a little retreat here from Tigris, but they have 3 minutes roundabouts for this attack here. This should be enough time to get into the position, at least to challenge for that full count.
Well, that's unfortunate, losing Winston so early in that engagement, but of course he comes back just like that. And Rips again has the Valkyrie form. We also have the Cassini Rush ready from the Kiriko from Tigris. We are halfway to another Deadeye. We have Tectonic almost having it online for himself for Goblin Barrel. And at this point, it's just a matter of not losing members. And there it is, the poolside being assaulted by the opposition. There goes Admiral trying to go for the Death Blossom. And I don't even know how Akito is living these engages, these dives from this Diva for more than a couple of seconds. Thank you to Rips. Thank you to Oxy for kind of keeping the Cassia alive in these engages. And only 2 minutes left. All they have to do is push it at the last 10 meters for full map quote-unquote completion here. We do see the double support ultimate committed from Notch and from Cobalt. Tectonic will be holding on to their own Deadeye in the face of Akioto's coming in from the high ground. DM in entirety used all the way through. Panda Hammer comes in. There's a rollout. Akio needs to stay alive in this engagement because we need to take down some targets. That being the back line coming in from Mr. Kirby and Pug. There goes Admiral. Here comes Tectonic with the Deadeye, but no one is there to get the headshots.
Akioto, full pocket, trust in the carry, doing all the work with the damage, drawing all the attention from Goblin Barrel, and it's working out so far for them. 2-0 map lead here, potentially going to be looking like it's a 3-0. We'll see. Maybe all the bans and the map picks have gone exactly as Goblin Barrel has planned, and they're ready for a reverse sweep. Maybe.
I mean, it's a tall order to ask, you know. Already 2 up in the series, very close last little bit of Circuit Royale, but I think once the momentum started getting towards Tigris, understanding just the win condition of keeping Akioto alive with, of course, the Valkyrie or the Mercy Pocket in general, and then just kind of your Kiriko keeping him up with Suzuing, with the, I believe, with the faster Ofuda healing as well, you know, faster towards a critical target. That just allowed Akioto to stay alive for so long, actually finishing 33-6 in the records. Mr. Kirby coming after that with 30-5. That is absolutely fantastic. Everyone else, unfortunately, just cannot say the same for the side of Goblin Barrel. The second runner-up was really Admiral. 16 eliminations, but 8 deaths. We're going fast. Looks like we're already picking our next map. It's going to be Goblins once again taking the map pick in their favor. They're going to go Midtown, so we're going Hybrid right after Escort.
I think maybe this is Goblin Barrel grasping at straws now. Game plan 1, first map, it's gone. Game plan 2, second map, it's gone as well. Third, we're playing map types we haven't played before for both these teams here. So maybe they're like, we'll just throw something. Maybe they haven't scrimmed Midtown at all. Maybe we'll have an upper hand somewhere. And if Goblin Barrel wants to play some brawl things, you know, Midtown, I think definitely can be the place for that. But we'll see. I mean, Midtown, I think, can also be a good hit scan map. So maybe you're also just unleashing Akioto to go even harder.
Listen, what sucks is that they didn't get the ban pick, right? They kind of let it go over to Tigris, and Tigris can absolutely go for like a very arbitrary ban. Like, let's say I'm gonna throw it out there, Torbjorn, right? Or their Pharah. Pharah is also good on Midtown. So banning out Pharah, guess what? It retroactively protects Cassie again, giving Akio that leg up in the matchup, especially against Tectonic, who's trying his best to mirror this Cassie, to mirror what Akito is putting down, but I'm not sure what's kind of not clicking, but it's just not working out favorably. Now Admiral's off of arguably his favorite character. Things are starting to look a little bit weary here for Goblin Barrel.
Yeah, I think what Goblin Barrel needs to do is, in a way, kind of similar to what Tigris is doing. Tigris is playing to empower Akioto to find picks and make the plays. I think they could be competitive by looking to empower Admiral fully, I guess you could say, right? Invest 95% of the resources into supporting and positioning Admiral to make the plays. But it can be a tall order when the DPS on the other team is just going that crazy. The other option is to just play a super, I wouldn't say simple, but just a very strategic, coordinated play style to try and out tempo, out team play the enemy side. Those are kind of your two options. As we see the bans come through for Goblin Barrel as well, planning to ban the ball. I've never seen ball played on Midtown ever. So maybe they have some read I don't on scouting or something. But I mean, I guess ball is on the first map. Maybe it makes sense.
Well, I think Goblin Barrel might have their backs against the wall with, kind of just throwing the ball bin out there, see what sticks, because we've seen how proficient Tigris has been on a plethora of characters so far. Ball, one of them. We saw a Diva, we saw Winston. Clearly, they favor playing a dive. They favor playing that messiness and just kind of thriving the chaos of it all, but also having just letting Pug frag out on Tracer and calling it a day. Sometimes it is just that simple as well. So with Midtown coming in, this is arguably a little bit more of a, we kind of called it a little bit more a brawly or maybe even poke style map, especially on first and third point. Second point, you have a little bit more of that open air, a little bit more of that space to work with to play that Winston if we are seeing it from Mr. Kirby specifically. No swaps to be seen, so we're gonna keep our same starting five from Goblin Barrel that we saw on Striker Royale, and already seeing a couple of interesting picks here. The Czar and the Reaper, funnily enough, as Goblin Barrel has picked those as their bans more often than not, they will be picking them actually here, and I do like it, especially for a brawl setting like Midtown.
Yeah, so actually is Admiral subbing out here for Goblin Barrel, interestingly enough. See Crabbery back in. I like Zarya comp. In general, I think Zarya comp is pretty strong and pairs actually decently well with Wu Yang. But I think maybe the more optimal version of this is with Wu Yang Curie. Oh, Juno Zen? I mean, maybe. No, just a shot. Wu Yang, Juno, it is just allowing you to have that speed boost as well. Not giving up that speed boost without Lucio. We'll see how impactful this poke from the Wu Yang can really be. It's very strong poke damage. You see that from the health bars on Tigris' side. Already getting low, forced lamp early. It's a good start off to the map here for Goblin Barrel.
Ooh! Pug caught out really early by Crabbery again with a beautiful headshot onto the Reaper player. So with that being said, with that opening pick in favor of Goblin Barrel, they're going to actually get not one but two ticks already on the board here. Both Zaryas, I can imagine, are extremely high charge. You can see one at 95%, the other, I'm sure, very close to it. But they're going to give this objective really up to Goblin Barrel extremely early on, losing out on the brawl, losing out on even just a little bit of valuable time. And now you're seeing a dive, or not even a dive, just kind of a flank coming in from Tectonic versus Pug. Tectonic coming into the backline, now retreats back to this corner, gets the bubble, gets a little bit of charge over to the Zarya once again, but Akioto once again finding a home on the Cassidy, getting a headshot to Nashara, and finding the Wu Yang in their favor. Rips also taking down Crabbery. Tectonic rips up onto Pug and gets the reversal, but otherwise it's a hold once again here for Tigris.
I like the decision for Tigris not to try and touch and to hold these doors. This Zarya plus Reaper combo is so high damage, especially with kind of the survivability of a Moira Bap backline. It's very easy to kind of hold those doors and stuff a team at the choke. As you see, look, Tectonic walking through and is extended a little bit too far. Gets picked by Mr. Kirby, but still the space is rolling through here for Goblin Barrel. Despite that pick, ultimate's invested, but still Nokken goes down. That's the fight close right there.
Yeah, you saw the Tidal Blast get expended from Nashtara, right? But then suddenly there was a grab on my Zarya that did have the Tidal Blast, and then Nokken couldn't really get any value because you can't go anywhere. A lot of ultimates did come out though. The Coalescence was a factor, the grab, the window. We're overly relying on this Deadeye and Blossom to get basically the works, right? Against Tectonics, who's not going to be able to use their own Death Blossom. That's big for Mr. Kirby to once again take care of the Reaper in their favor. But we do see the grab get used anyway. Pug in the middle of it. The lamp comes out a hair too late, but still helps the rest of the team of Tigers stay alive, even in the face of using their own Deadeye.
Yeah, Tectonic just is extended a little bit too forward, just a little bit outside of the range where he can live, and that's costed Goblin Barrel so far. They had a fight there where they had a very strong advantage, and that grab gets used to try and see if you can turn it, and ultimately gets nothing. It's now they have a lot weaker of a standing ultimate bank for this fight here.
But that was hopeful. From Pug coming in with a somewhat trying to get a sneaky Death Blossom off, but we do trade off both these Reapers. Once again, Tectonic unable to even proc, his own Death Blossom for 2 fights now. That makes it even more horrifying when it inevitably does come out into fruition, especially now that Tigers are going to be lacking their Zarya in this engagement. Forced to retreat back to the bridge here. The car has now gone back in favor of Goblin Barrel, even for a little bit longer. There's a slight stall, but they're going to be backing up because now Akito will be going down to the count from Tectonic once again. Tonight, once again, keeping this Death Blossom in the back pocket. Not really needing to use it because everyone is completely backing out. Pug can't even get out in time, having used both the Wraith and the Shadow Step at the same time, giving him no cooldowns to run away from Tectonic.
Yeah, I mean, Tigers here, they're positioned to get a lot of fights on this point here. They've already drained, how much time is that? 2 minutes off the time bank. Goblin Barrel walked into it with 5 minutes on the clock, something around, and Tectonic will find a pick with that, is able to get out with the Zarya bubble help, and the point's already here. Grav trying to save this point here will get 2 picks and stabilize this defense. They will still have to retake this high ground. Yeah, both supports leaving that for lost. It's a interesting kind of slow brawl fights taken here. Just kind of walking up with big damage from Zarya, beaming people down.
I mean, the grab there was absolutely massive. You can see they were literally 1 meter and like 37 centimeters away from point completion, with still under 2 minutes to go, so not too shabby. We still have Akioto's Deadeye. We already scouted out this Tracer. We're forcing Karabi to back up once again. We can walk in this gravitational surge from Nokken. The lamp comes into fruition, keeping the team alive even a little bit longer. No one's gonna break the lamp. Even now, it's still alive, keeping the team up even longer than anticipated from the side of Tigris. There goes Nokken, taken down for the count by Pug, and Mr. Kirby finds a reversal onto, of course, Tectonic at the same time. And now we're walking in with all of this aggression, all of this charge. It's just, I think, Karabi, who is still kind of in the back line now, just getting up the pulse online. But otherwise, what a hold.
Yeah, when Goblin Barrel is kind of approaching this front to back, working through frontline first, you kind of have to. But Mr. Kirby has so much more kind of healing support from the BAP and the Moira. They're able to outlast both the Wu Yang and Juno heals. Wu Yang and Juno really have their healing tied to 2 cooldowns, whereas BAP and Moira have more of it on kind of their primary. And they get a pick here, see if they can make something transfer from it, but Akioto's still alive. Anything is possible.
Well, Akito does get 1 with the Deadeye. That was, in a very, kind of precarious situation into the face of that Orbital Ray coming in from Cobalt. And then you have the Death Blossom coming in, but Nokken is going to stay alive, making sure that is not going to be the win con for Tigris this time.
Yeah, it's 30 seconds on the clock here, and spawns are faster for Tigris, so that fight suits them actually decently well. And they will able to get Cobalt trying to run back in for the respawn. Players all around surrounding Tigris here for Goblin Barrel, but the stabilization is here for Tigris with that Cassidy damage, with that Doomfist on lock. Trades going around, Tectonic trying to make something happen.
It's not gonna work though, because unfortunately we're losing out on everybody. We lost Nachar, we lost Tectonic, who, mind you, again had the Blossom in the back pocket. The Doom swap from Mr. Kirby was exactly what was needed from Tigris to regain their dominance and regain their defensive hold once more. Again, just shy of what a meter and a half from completion, and what would have refreshed Goblin Barrow's minute and a half on third point. And you know, with third point is great for Brawl. That would have been fantastic for Notken and Tectonic to continue that momentum. But what a hold from Tigris. What a defense. And now they just have to basically cap second for not just map completion, but also a 3-0 on the records.
Yeah, and it's really kind of Akioto saving that last point there. There's two kind of stagger picks. I guess you could say kind of late fight trades going the way of Tigris really helped out in them being able to stabilize there. You know, having just a Zarya on that point, plus maybe I think it was Tracer, makes it a lot easier to kind of take the recontest fight when you have faster spawns. So very, very strong play from Akioto continuing here. But there's signs of life from Goblin Barrel. That the Zarya combo, when the Zarya is able to stay alive, it's looked very, very strong for them. So maybe they can mount some sort of defensive hold here. Maybe slight modifications to the back line can allow them to kind of continue fighting through this defense. Maybe push it to a map 4.
Well, it's definitely possible. You know, there is something to be seen from Goblin Barrel, but now that they're on the defense, I'm getting a little bit worried because, you know, we're seeing just so much back and forth between both of these Zaryas. But we're going to be seeing Akioto off of this casting, now on Sojourn instead, at least for the attack side of things. Forcing out the Wraith Form early on from Tectonic means that you only have left is Shadow Step, and that, as we all know, is a very, very long cast time to even use it. So there's down the Reaper, down the Zarya, there's a dive onto the back line, there goes the Wu Yang, and the Juno, of course, maybe a victim after we see Pug just really dive in on the Juno. Whoa, Hyper Ring does save the day though, keeping Cabal alive even a little bit longer, but we are seeing the first tick already go in favor of Tigris, and they're already pushing onto the bridge.
Yeah, an advanced hold here from Tigris, just trying to make it impossible for Goblin Barrel to contest this point by marking the Juno that was stayed alive in that last fight, and they accomplished their goal here. They're going to try and back out here with Zarya Bubbles. Risper gets picked on the back end though. This is an opportunity for Goblin Barrel to try and make a hold at these doors if they want to, but of course Akioto with that Sojourn is going to always be a damage presence that you have to respect.
Okay. No, you're right. You know, the damage presence from, especially from Akioto and Pug at the same time, is going to be a lot. You know, Karabi can only do so much on Tracer versus a rail shot or a headshot from these two DPS on the side of Tigris. Like that, just nearly whipping the rail shot. That was insane. Now we're diving onto this bridge area, forcing, unfortunately, we do see Pug now back out. And again, the same problem, no cooldowns, no swift step, you heard me, no shadow step to utilize. So that gets burned down by Not Ken. We do see the lamp get used here, and everyone from Tigris are now completely backing up and regrouping, waiting for Pug to come back with this Blossom.
Yeah, you have a lot of tools here to use here for Tigris. Almost 5 full ultimates here. A lot of combos possible. It is the Wu Yang ultimate popped earlier for Goblin Barrel, and Not Ken will find a pick. Pug in the backline will trade one out, but the advantage should be in favor of Goblin Barrel. Yeah, they find the trades at the end of that. It's going to be another fight win here for Goblin Barrel, and they're doing the work that needs to be done here. If they're wanting to start a comeback, this is how you do it.
100%. Both grabs being used there, fantastic. Gave the advantage to Not Ken, however. And what's nice is that they're also going to have the same ults to work with. Pulse versus Overclock, double Blossoms. We have the Window versus the Orbital Ray, where the fight's now starting off very strong. We can see the dot coming in with the Dead Blossom, and it finds just one. The Lamp is also a victim, but we're going to count her. There goes Pug, also forced to back out, gets the Mini Pepper. Still going to get chased down by Tectonic, who does not get the last little bit of elimination, but Tectonic still goes down anyway to Akioto with the rail shot instead. And now we're going in for an insane overclock here from Akioto on the high ground. Over the way used in response, at least to have maybe that healing and damage output to help sustain through the overclock, but it's not going to be enough as we lose our Juno. We're pressuring out Not Ken at the exact same time, and just like that, the bridge has now been cleared out away for Tigris, and they're pushing halfway through point B.
Yeah, they were caught in two minds after that pick onto Tectonic. He they went a little bit too far, and they got punished for it. And then as the Zarya was backing up, Juno pops the Ray just in two different mines, and almost it looks like it's falling apart here for Goblin Barrel. Oh, maybe not.
No, not quite yet. You know, you saw the Blossom coming from Pug, and thankfully no one went down. Also, Tidal Blast going to be used from the Chara. Thankfully, again, no one going down for Tigris, so they can still re-engage with a Coalescence, and now there's a bunch of colors in my screen right now, Box. I don't know what's going on, but Mr. Kirby is now down for the count. Coalescence was not going to be enough to keep the Zarya alive. Akio takes down Nashara, but Krabby, of course, is going to be there just to come up with the reversal elimination onto Akioto, and there goes Oxy. Everyone's down for the count from Tigris. We only have 2 minutes left, though. Big ult bank, big grab online here. What's the plan?
Yeah, it's a difficult scenario for both sides here. Attacking this and defending this can be a bit tricky. As we see, Tigris has that Zarya ultimate. They can find some big value with that Goblin Barrel almost at their own, and the difference here really, Tectonic has another Blossom. Been a little bit iffy with the value on it so far, but hopefully it can be another good one for the sake of Goblin Barrel.
Oh, that's fantastic. Look at this. We got Akioto out of the fight from Crabbery, who is able to take down their mirror match. Grab will get once again online. We are seeing the reversal come in. That was a trade of the Graviton Surges. Pug goes down for the count. We are going to be holding on to his Death Blossom because we at least got rid of not one, but 2 imperative targets here for the side of Goblin Barrel. Now they're moving back up into enemy territory, and they're setting things up for this Pulse, for this Orbit Array, for this Blossom as well.
Yeah, Goblin Barrel have finagled the ult economy into their favor. 2 DPS ultimates and going to be 2 support ultimates in the late fight here. It's looking good. A minute on the clock. It's essentially one fight for how far forward the cart is. As we see, Tigris has a Moira Coalescence. If they can find some value with that early, Oxytocin goes down. That's going to be a big hamper in the works here for Tigris.
It is no Oxytocin to be seen, and that's horrible to lose your Kiriko so early in these engages. We still have Rips holding on to Coalescence and staying alive through these fights. And also, mind you, sticking to the Moira, which I do have to commend at the end of the day, right? But either way, you have to realize there are 4 upcoming ultimates online here for Goblin Barrel. For this last 30 seconds, we're walking in with a very aggressive Coalescence. Here comes a reversal Shadow Blast, however, in response to it. Recall used very early on from the Tracer, and Tectonic just narrowly escaping by the skin of his teeth. But the high charge Zarya is still very high charge. There goes the Reaper. Here's the Orbit Array to help mitigate a little bit of pressure, maybe backing off of Goblin Barrel. We have to bubble our Juno and retreat back over to the main way. And then from the back, here comes the Reaper, and we could rip it off with the Death Blossom. And it does find Krabby just nearly peeking out. The pulse goes completely wide, and there goes Oxytocin. There goes Rips. There's no support left for Tigris, but we're still fighting against a very high charge Zarya. We're still trying to stay alive with the grab now online, only on the Tectonic. And there goes Not Ken, the only one alive to even say anything to save the day. It's not going to be Notch. It's not going to be Karabi. It's going to be a full completion here and a 3-0 in the series for Tigris.
The kite was massive. The kite was massive from Tigris, able to withstand 2 ultimates thrown out by Goblin Barrel. Goblin Barrel had all the tools to win that fight. Just the ultimates they used, it didn't get value. And Tigris comes back, Coalescence blasts them enough to get some DPS ultimates online, Kiriko ultimate at the end, and it's kind of just textbook push-pull there from Tigris right at the end.
Here are your winners. Tigris coming in hot with a 3-0, but it definitely went down to the wire. You know, round 1 of Ilios went all the way to round 3. You know, we went to all sub-maps. Map number 2, Circle Royale, came down to 3rd point. You know, momentum really just shifted in favor of Tigris, but they still found the win at the end of the day against the Goblins. And then suddenly at the end of this Midtown map, literally just came down to who gets the opening pick, whose Blossom will be bigger, whose grab will be more impactful. And it was Tigris's. 100%.
Yeah, you can see the stats here for that map. Mr. Kirby had 31 elims and almost 19,000 damage in that map. Really solid play on the Zarya from Mr. Kirby. Great play overall from Tigris. And as you said, it was a very close series. Both teams playing pretty well. The difference is quite small in reality, mostly in those first two maps, Akioto just going off. So yeah, I was very, very excited to see these teams going forward throughout the rest of the season. I think 2 more weeks in Swiss, right? Maybe?
Yep. Just 5 rounds of just pure chaos. And I am happy to now also see who our MVP is. Drumroll, please. And it's going to be Akioto. Yo, who is surprised? The 5 Second Royale solidified this for you, bestie. That was a beautiful showcase on the Sojourn, on the Cassidy especially. Really just kind of above in the competition, above in that mechanical talent of those characters, and also just the fact that your team knows Pocket or Cassidy, we win Circuit Royale. Yeah, MVP very much deserved for Akioto. Congratulations to Tigris. Congratulations to Akioto for being this match's MVP. What a series. What a great time.
I don't follow too much of advanced here, but Akioto's gameplay making me I'm gonna lock in for the rest of the matches here for Tigris. The gameplay is very exciting, and I want to keep following through, watching the arc of Akioto winning tier MVP. Dare I say? I have no actual merits to make that call whatsoever. But you know, if that ends up happening, you heard it here first. I'll own that take. As we see the leaderboards, as a result, some of the games have been played already throughout the rest of the tier. Tigris moving up to 3rd seed, and Goblin Barrel falling down 3 places to 10th seed. Still some matches to play in the tier. If you want all the updated information, it is spcs.slmn.gg. Series 3, and you believe you can find all the information for all the tiers there. So anything you want, just head over to that website, and you'll find everything also in the Discord as well. If you're there, keep track of all the events, chat with players. It's a good vibe in the Discord.
Oh, it sure is. I mean, I've been here since Season 1, and I competed in Season 1, and it's very much one of the vibiest tournaments, I can't lie. Everyone's mad show, I cannot hold you. And you can see the talent is... There's something to watch in every division between rookie, intermediate, and advanced. There's something entertaining to see. There's something entertaining to watch for these 3 nights that we stream the SPS Series 3, you know, standing, you know, the rounds and everything like that in the matches. So with that being said, that's a 3-0 given to Tigris. I believe we are good to close. So with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, for supporting Tigris and Goblin Barrel in their match today. And the next stream will be on week 4 on Monday with the rookie division. Please tune in. That's my people. That's my people. Go tune in and watch how they play on Monday and see how their standings will be lining up alongside the subsequent matches happening all rest of that week, and of course into week 5. With that being said, Mr. Box, it was an absolute fantastic pleasure to cast with you. Thank you to my observers. Thank you as always to my producer for running the show, and I will see you guys on Monday for some rookie SPCS series number 3 action.